Have you ever stood motionless, invisible, reduced to a silent witness of your own irrelevance while the woman you like converses with another man? That devastating feeling that gnaws at you inside while you feign understanding, when in reality you're tearing yourself apart with powerlessness. Listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal challenges everything you thought you knew about female desire. There's an ancient dance between bodies and minds where most men follow rules that never worked, while a few know the secret moves that transform attraction into obsession. I'm not talking about immorality or deception, but something much deeper. The understanding that everything you were taught about conquering a woman's heart was a carefully constructed lie to keep you in emotional mediocrity. If what I'm saying has made you pause for a second, hit the like button right now, because these 4 fundamental pillars I'm about to share can revolutionize your relationship life forever. What follows is pure gold, distilled from years of observation and practice. Let's go. Seduction doesn't begin with a simple, polite hello that vanishes into thin air without a trace. It begins with a break, a fracture in the expected, a spark in the silence that awakens something dormant in her. Forget everything you were told about traditional introductions, those robotic conversations that die the moment they're uttered and immediately brand you as just another face in the crowd. The first move isn't about being nice or harmless. It's about taking control of the emotional rhythm from the very first second, establishing that you are not just another one in the herd of predictable men who approach with the same worn-out lines she's heard 1,000 times before. Imagine approaching her, but instead of being predictable like everyone else, you say something like, "You look like someone who hates superficial conversations, but secretly loves chaos." In that moment, something changes in her expression. She pauses, blinks. Her brain kicks into gear like an engine that just received high-octane fuel. Why does this happen? Because you've interrupted her automatic pattern, that mental filter programmed to discard generic men. In that instant, you're no longer one of them. You've piqued her curiosity, and curiosity is the gateway drug to desire. This is what most men never understand. The first sentence is the foundation of the entire game that follows. It's like the opening move in chess. It sets the tempo for the entire game and defines the emotional battlefield. If you open weak with something common, you've already put yourself on the defensive. You'll spend the rest of the interaction chasing her, trying to regain lost ground. But if you open strong with something unexpected, poetic, or slightly absurd, you gain the frame advantage. Now she's in your world, playing by your rules. This is movement. It's not exactly about what you say, but about how sharply you cut through the everyday noise. It's about projecting a clear psychological signal. I'm not here to desperately impress you. I'm here to see if you're worth my time. And this isn't just verbal, it's energetic. It's your tone, your timing, the deliberate calm in your speech, that slight smile as if you already know how this whole thing will end. Men who approach with predictable lines are discarded by her subconscious in seconds. But a man who walks with a sense of controlled unpredictability becomes a question she wants to answer. Never forget this. Women are attracted to what they don't immediately understand. Be the enigma. Be the disruption. Be the man who speaks not to impress with pretty words, but to provoke something within her that she had forgotten she could feel. When your first move makes her pause and think the game is already yours. Deep down, what we are doing is activating her primitive brain, the one from caveman times when survival depended on choosing the right mate. And that brain isn't moved by flowers or expensive dinners. It cares about signals of value, social dominance, and protective ability. Attraction decisions aren't made logically, but instinctively. This is where the entire foundation of attraction begins to solidify into something unbreakable, something extraordinarily rare in the modern world. True confidence isn't what you say, it's what you don't need to say. You see, she perceives everything before you even open your mouth. She reads your essence. She observes how you sit, how long you maintain eye contact, whether your presence fills the room or begs for space. True confidence is silent. It walks unannounced, speaks slowly, moves with certainty, and above all, it doesn't fear loss. That is the attitude you need to embody. I don't need you, but I'm not afraid of you either. This is the posture that turns the entire power dynamic on its head, and once you learn it, she starts to qualify herself to you instead of you having to prove your worth to her. Let me make it visual so you understand it completely. Think about the last time you walked into a car showroom. The salesperson who hounded you, who stuck to you like a shadow, who kept asking, "Do you like it? Do you want to test drive it? What do you think?" They exuded a desperation you could smell, and you instantly had the advantage because their neediness diminished their value in your eyes. Now imagine another salesperson. They greet you calmly, elegantly show you the car, then quietly withdraw. They know what they're offering. They know you'll feel it if it's right for you. Suddenly you feel the need to prove you're worthy of the deal. You start asking questions. You start justifying your interest. It's exactly the same in seduction. When you demonstrate that your life is complete, rich in purpose, full of joy, anchored in strength, with or without her, you become the prize, not the desperate hunter or the emotional beggar who pleads for attention. And women don't chase men they pity. They chase men they respect, men who represent something they wish to achieve or experience. How do you exude this attitude through your body? Because words lie, but energy never does. Shoulders relaxed but strong, an upright posture that speaks of dignity, unwavering eye contact that doesn't apologize for existing, slow, steady breathing, precise and intentional movements as if you are the master of time itself. No trembling hands, no nervously bouncing legs, no fast, anxious speech. You speak as if you trust your silence, because studies show that over 90% of communication is nonverbal. She doesn't just hear you, she feels you in every fiber of her being. And if your energy says, "Please love me," she will pull away, even if your words say something completely different. But if your presence says, "You are welcome to join me, but I don't bend for approval," she leans into you because detachment is intoxicating, it's addictive, it's what most men never manage to convey. This is the paradox that changes everything. The less you seek validation, the more your value multiplies in her eyes. So remember, don't chase her attention. Pursue your own inner power. Because when a man becomes magnetic from within, everything on the outside begins to orbit around him as if he were the gravitational center of his own universe. And when this attitude becomes authentic, when it's not a technique but a state of being, you'll notice that women start behaving differently with you. They begin to make an effort to impress you. They start caring about what you think of them. The dynamic completely reverses, and now you have the power to choose, the power to decide if she is enough for you, not the other way around. This is the most counterintuitive of all the pillars, the seductive art of stepping back right at the peak of connection. Not because you don't care, but because you understand one of the most powerful truths about female desire. Longing creates obsession. The void generates desperate yearning. You know that perfect moment when the conversation flows effortlessly, when smiles come naturally, when she's completely present with you, engrossed in your presence, hanging on every word that comes out of your mouth. That is not the moment to push forward and squeeze out every last drop of that connection. That is the moment to leave, to disappear, right when everything feels most alive and promising. Yes, exactly, at the highest point. Just when it feels most electric and full of possibilities. You simply say, "I'd love to stay longer, but I have to go. Let's continue this another time." What happens next isn't logical. It's completely chemical and primitive. Your brain releases a significant amount of dopamine, and then you disappear. You've just become the episode that ends on a cliffhanger, the song that cuts off at the best part, the book that closes just as the plot gets interesting. Think about the last addictive series you watched. It didn't explain everything. It didn't resolve all the plot lines. It left you hungry for more. That's what you need to become. Not the 3-hour movie that drags on until everyone loses interest, but the tense, suspenseful episode that leaves her breathless and counting the days until the next season. This means you don't respond the moment she texts you. You don't answer every call as if you're waiting by the phone. You live your life. You move through your world like a man on a mission. A man who has options, purpose, his own gravity. Because when she notices your absence, her emotional radar activates in a way she can't control. Where are you? Who are you with? Why haven't you responded? And in that moment, she's not just thinking about you, she's feeling you. Now you're looping in her mind, playing your voice, rereading your last message as if it were a secret code she needs to decipher. This is the crucial shift when she starts chasing you, not by strategy, but by tension, unresolved emotion, a craving for resolution. That's what most men never understand. They stay too long, respond too quickly, eliminate all tension, and in doing so, they kill desire in its cradle. But you You will learn to step away with elegance, to leave her with a taste, not the whole meal, to create silences that resonate louder than words, because that is the most beautiful and cruel paradox. The less she has of you, the more she'll need you. This isn't blind arrogance. It's not calculated manipulation. It's pure psychology masterfully applied. And the man who masters it doesn't chase like a desperate predator. He attracts by letting go, draws her in by releasing, conquers by withdrawing at the perfect moment. And you know what else? This protects you too, because when you're not constantly available, when you don't give everything away immediately, you also give yourself time to evaluate if she's really worth it. You allow yourself to observe how she responds to your absence, how she handles the tension, whether she's capable of pursuing you or if she simply disappears at the first sign that you're not desperate. Strategic neglect is a filter that separates truly interested women from those who are just looking for attention and validation. It's a tool of discernment as much as a technique of attraction. And when you apply it correctly, you'll find yourself surrounded only by women who are willing to put in effort for you, to pursue you, to earn your time and attention. This is the moment of truth where most men fail miserably, where all the previous pillars fall apart if you don't have the courage to act. You created attraction. You built emotional tension. You played the game of detachment. Now you need to act decisively. And here is where fear appears in all its ugliness. The fear of rejection, the fear of ruining everything you've built, the fear of being seen as invasive or inappropriate. But let me tell you a secret that will transform your perspective forever. Women want you to take the lead. They fantasize about a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go for it, unapologetic about his masculinity. Almost no one realizes this, but hesitation kills more opportunities than rejection itself. When you feel the moment is right, act without asking permission, without asking if you can. Read her signals and move forward with the confidence of someone who understands the silent language of desire. It could be taking her hand as you walk. It could be pulling her closer during a conversation. It could be that kiss at the perfect moment when silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. Calculated audacity is what separates men from boys playing at being men. It's what makes her mention you to her friends the next day. It's what creates impactful memories she can't forget even if she wanted to. Now I know what you must be thinking, and let's clarify it once and for all. This isn't manipulation in the toxic sense of the word. It's not being a heartless jerk. Manipulation is when you lie, deceive, or do something against her will. What I'm teaching you is exactly the opposite. It's about being authentic in your masculinity, about understanding what truly creates attraction, and acting in accordance with that understanding. Think with me. When a woman puts on makeup, chooses a beautiful outfit, wears a special perfume, is she being manipulative? Of course not. She is presenting herself in the best possible way. She is using tools to become more attractive. That's exactly what you are doing, using psychological tools to awaken genuine attraction. This is not about deceiving anyone or creating a false personality. It's about being the best version of yourself, the most authentic and powerful. And let me tell you something few men know. Women want to be seduced. They dream about it. They read books about it. They watch movies about it. But they want to be seduced by a real man, not an insecure guy who apologizes for existing, not a man who is afraid of his own shadow. They want to feel that shiver in their stomach, that tension in the air, that game of glances that says more than 1,000 empty conversations. And when you master the secret code I'm revealing to you, you become that man. You become the type they can't get out of their heads, the mystery that keeps them awake, thinking. Audacity sets you free. It frees you from emotional limbo, from the friend zone, from the no man's land where so many men spend entire years, wanting to act but frozen by the fear of rejection. A rejection that often isn't even real, but imagined, projected from their own insecurities. Now let's talk about something crucial that most people overlook, the magnetic touch. This isn't about uncontrolled lust. It's not about groping or forcing situations. This is ancestral ritual, primitive language that transcends words. Touch is humanity's oldest language, older than words, deeper than logic. It bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the subconscious where real decisions are made. But here's the secret that changes everything. She's not attracted to the touch itself. She's attracted to the way it happens. Its perfect timing, its rhythm, its clear intention. The right touch at the right moment can tie a memory to her body in a way that will last forever. But the wrong touch, the rushed, the forced, kills everything instantly. How does it start then? Not with blind audacity, but with calculated innocence. A light touch on her shoulder as you laugh at something she said. A hand gently guiding her through a doorway. A slow, playful high five that lingers half a second longer than usual. Moments that feel natural, but leave an indelible mark. You escalate not through pressure, but through presence. You touch, and then you withdraw. And that withdrawal is everything. It creates absence, and absence creates yearning. This is what most men never understand. Touch isn't about the contact. It's about what happens in the moment after. Because when you touch and pause, her body feels the silence and begins to miss you before you've even gone. This is intermittent touch, the psychological equivalent of a heartbeat. On, off, close, far, safe, dangerous. It builds tension she can't name. It floods her system with oxytocin and dopamine, the same chemicals released during pleasure and connection. But you're not connecting. You're etching yourself into her nervous system like a mark she'll never be able to erase. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more natural it seems, the more powerful it becomes. You shouldn't telegraph your intention. You shouldn't hesitate. You touch like a man who has done it 1,000 times, not because you're desperate, but because you are self-contained. Your hand doesn't ask permission. It reads her reaction. If she leans in, you know. If she pulls away, you adapt. Because masculine touch isn't invasive, it's observant. It listens with the skin. And when used correctly, it makes her feel something terribly rare in the modern world. A man who is in control of himself and attuned to her at the same time. That is magnetic. That is what keeps her awake at night. Because long after the words are forgotten, she'll remember how you made her feel. Not in her mind, but in her body. Touch is where all the theory we've discussed manifests. It's where confidence, detachment, and audacity materialize in the physical world. A man who touches with clarity of purpose but without desperation is a man who communicates on a primal level that he knows his worth. He's not stealing something, he's sharing something. He's not taking, he's giving. And that subtle distinction makes all the difference in the world. The great seducers of history understood this intuitively. They knew that the body has its own language, that it speaks even when the mouth is silent, that it communicates truths that words cannot express. And they mastered that language, not as a technique, but as a natural extension of who they were. There's one last weapon you must master, one that most men don't even think about: cold reading. It's not magic, it's precision. The silent art of reading what she wants before she even knows it, because every woman leaves subtle signals, not in her words, but in her patterns. The way she dresses, the speed of her voice, the rhythm of her walk, what she posts online, where she goes, what she avoids. You're no longer just a man. You're an emotional detective reading between the lines, tracking the energy behind the words, feeling the signals she doesn't say out loud. A woman wearing flashy, shiny jewelry is screaming for attention. She wants the spotlight and confirmation that she still has it. A woman in subtle, elegant tones is deeper, more private. She yearns to be understood, not just superficially seen. Observe her manner of speaking. If she speaks fast, gesticulates broadly, she's spontaneous, reactive, guided by pure emotion. If she speaks slowly, carefully, she's calculated, guarded, strategic in every move. And when you adjust your energy to match her hidden nature, when you reflect what she truly needs without her asking for it, you become irresistible, because you're not offering what she's consciously demanding. You're offering what she's secretly dying to receive. That's the real power, the understanding that every human being hungers for something they can't even articulate. But here's the trap most men fall into. They try to do everything instantly. They gorge themselves on techniques, force results, imitate, act, play a script that isn't their own. But this isn't acting. It's the embodiment of your true masculine nature. So slow down. Start with just one pillar. Apply it for a week until it becomes real, until it's a part of you. Then another, and another, until the system isn't something you memorize, but something you are. Because this method I'm revealing to you isn't about becoming someone else. It's about unleashing the real you, the alpha that society buried under years of shame, guilt, and conditioning that made you believe your masculinity was something to apologize for. Women don't want a man who is always available, who is there every time they snap their fingers. They want a man who has options, a man who doesn't need them to feel complete. Paradoxical, isn't it? The less you need her, the more she will desire you. It's a contradiction that defies all romantic logic, but it's a psychological truth as solid as the laws of physics. And once you internalize it, once you stop fighting it and start using it to your advantage, everything changes. The power dynamics reverse, the chase ceases, desperation dissipates, and in its place emerges a new reality where you are the prize, not the beggar. Remember that chess metaphor I mentioned at the beginning? Every interaction with a woman is a game, and while most men play defensively, afraid of losing the queen, you will be 3 moves ahead. You'll know when to advance, when to retreat, when to sacrifice a piece to win the entire game. Time is slipping away while you stand there ruminating, overanalyzing every possibility. Other men are already using this and getting results while you keep doubting, keep wondering if this really works. Ask yourself, 5 years from now, do you want to be in the exact same place, with the same silent frustrations, watching the woman you wanted in the arms of a man who simply knew how to move? Or do you want to be the man she can't forget, the man who never begs, who chooses instead of being chosen, who doesn't accept emotional crumbs, who creates attraction like clockwork? That choice is yours, and always has been. Knowledge without action is dead. You can consume 100 videos, read 100 books, but if you don't step into the ring, you'll be trapped in impotent theory forever. Don't be like most people, who hear this and do nothing. You are not like the others. You've come this far. You've paid attention. You can be the exception, the one who took this and transformed everything. Stop doubting. Stop blaming circumstances. Stop waiting for the perfect moment that will never come. She's not going to wait forever while you decide to act like the man you truly are inside. If you find value in this, comment, "I am the monster she desires," and recommend this video to another man who needs to wake up from the illusion. The next method will be even more powerful.